Hi guys, you've probably been sent here because you've been asking me how much does it cost to start Airbnb, or you perhaps just clicked on the video because you're interested to learn how much it actually costs to start Airbnb. This video will be your guide as to how much. So let's just start with it. Hello. How much? That pen isn't great. Let's get a thicker pen. There we go. How much? That's the question that everyone seems to want to know. How much does it cost to start? Basically, I'm assuming you guys are asking because you think you've got enough, or you think you don't have enough, and you just want to know sort of where you stand. So again, I apologize for my lack of writing. My writing looks horrendous, but you know what? I haven't written for years, so it's okay. Anyway, so this is what I want to start with. Point one, start. You're probably thinking, what the hell does that mean? What I mean by this is, what I don't like is people say, how much does it cost to start? And I'll be like, oh, X, Y, Z. Because I'm going to share the number later, but I say that number. And they're like, oh, that's fine. I'll just wait 6 months and I'll get started. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is not to tell you whether you have enough or whether you don't have enough. The point of this video, hopefully that you take away, is whatever you have right now is more than enough to do something. Don't allow yourself to put yourself in boxes where you're basically stopping yourself from taking action and you're stopping yourself from progressing on goals that you want to achieve. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense for you to watch a video and to tell yourself, or for me to tell you, that you shouldn't take action because you don't have enough. If you have 0, there's something you can do. If you have 20k, there's something you can do. If you have 5k, there's something you can do. If you have 3k, there's something you can do. If you have 10k, there's something you can do. For every single budget, understand that there's something that you can do. So we're going to go with each budget right now. # 0 to, I'd say if you're at a point where you have £0 to a point where you have about 3k, you're in the same exact stage. And this is a stage where you should not be looking at, so you have rent to rent. No, you should not be looking at rent to rent if you have this capital amount. You do not have enough for rent to rent at this capital amount. But what you do have enough for is deal sourcing. I'm just going to write DS and a little tick next to it because this is what you should be looking at. What is deal sourcing? I have a video here which explains the whole process of deal sourcing, exactly how you need to do it. So what I want to demonstrate here is, if you have nothing, sorry, that's a tick. If you don't have much capital, what you should have is time to expend, and time becomes your currency. So where you don't have money to invest, you have time to invest and you have effort to invest, and that's how you make your money. How do you do that? Through deal sourcing. You basically find deals which are on the market right now. You get the landlord to agree. You then take these deals to investors. Investors will pay you finder's fee, source's fee, and that's exactly how you make your money. What we recommend when you start out deal sourcing is to start with these amounts, and then as you make 2 or 3 sales, you hit the next bracket. So I hope that's clear. If you've got nothing and you're telling me I'm going to wait, you don't need to be waiting. You can start deal sourcing today. It's completely free, basically. I literally have that video right there, which I linked earlier. There's so much more free information online about deal sourcing. You can most definitely start deal sourcing as soon as. Of course, if you go with a coach, or if you go with a mentor, if you get educated on it and you pay for education, that's the way of starting in the best way and as quick as possible. But if you really have no money, there's definitely a way of starting. And if you're not starting, you're just making excuses. Now, we get to the 3k to the I would say 7k category. So this is where a lot of you sit, to be honest. A lot of you aren't in the 0 to 3,000. A lot of you sit in the 3,000 to 7,000. And the question is, what do you do here? This is where rent to rent becomes applicable. Deal sourcing is still applicable too at this point, 100%. But I would say the issue with deal sourcing is, if you stop deal sourcing, such as the reason that I prefer rent to rent over deal sourcing when you have a bit of capital, is because if you in a certain month decide, you get, I don't know, you're really busy or you're really ill or something and you can't work, you literally won't make a pound. It's very hard to systemize deal sourcing because it becomes linked to you getting deals and then selling deals onto investors. Where with rent to rent, you set the unit up once and it literally will keep paying you, and that's the best thing about it. So I would say if you're at this capital amount or higher, let's put a little plus there, you should be looking at rent to rent. Now, there is a caveat here. When you're with this budget and you're looking at rent to rent, you need to focus on partly furnished properties. What you don't want to do at this budget is, let's say, look at somewhere like Nottingham or somewhere like Manchester, look at the market and look at a property which is completely bare bones empty and think, I'm going to dress this up to luxury standard. It just costs a bit more than that. That's the truth of it. Like, I wish I could be the type of guy that's like, oh no, you can do everything in £1,000, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the truth of it. I'm going to make sure that you're actually informed from this video, because the truth is, the reason that we even sit on live, the reason that we make content is because we know that we understand the game the best. We know that we educate people completely transparently. There's a lot of people online that will share a lot of fake stuff about this because they want to sell you a dream. The truth is, a lot of those people don't really want to help you. That's the truth of it, whereas we're here to help you. Anyway, so if you have this budget, you need to be looking at part furnished properties. So what this means is that you're saving on the furnishing costs by getting properties which already have the furniture in there. That's the main principle there. It's pretty simple to understand. Also, what you need to look for is suitability. If you have this sort of budget, your location need to be a bit more strenuous. You can't just pick like prime locations, luxury standard. You're overshooting the mark. You're overstepping it massively. If you have this much, you don't have the necessary capital to play with, like to buy luxury furniture and to buy high quality stuff. Of course, you can afford something decent with this amount. We started with this amount. We started with this amount in the city centre of Leicester. And that property is still great. We still have it. But what I want you to understand is that if you have this budget, you need to start being a bit more smart about your capital. Okay? Now, if you're at the 7K, I would say to the 20K, 7K to 20K, this is when you can start looking at units basically anywhere you want. This is where you can start looking at, high standard accommodation. You can start really, impacting the market in a wonderful way. You can have a beautiful property, loads of nice amenities, that sort of thing. So, again, that's not to say that these properties with high amenities and stuff like that are better than these properties. These properties, the thing about the properties which are not furnished to luxury standards is, number one, maintenance isn't so expensive, so that's great. Number two, you can price them slightly better. If you're not putting so much money in, what's good is that it doesn't take you as long, or it's not nearly as hard to get your money back and then to make profit on top. The main thing about rent to rent, which I love, which people don't speak about enough, is this. You put in, let's say, 5K into a deal. This is not including the deposit. The deposit you should be getting back at the end anyway, if you're good at what you're doing, which I'm hoping you are. 5K is what you put in. Your monthly profit, even in a bad, let's say it's a bad year, it's been a bad year, it should be about 500 minimum. It should be about 500 per month. That means in 10 months, you've made that 5K back. You're probably thinking, 10 months, 5K back? Oh, that's long. I'd rather have it in my bank. Most businesses, they do not make their money back in 10 months, I'll tell you that. They're not that profitable. It takes a lot more time to make that money back. So in 10 months, you make your 5K back. But then what happens? Your lease is 2 years, which is 24 months. So you have 14 more months where you're making clean profit. 14 times 500. Let's say if it's still not doing great, it's still at 500. That's, what is that? 14, that's about 5K. You're making about 7K clean profit in 2 years. And the thing is, it's in a vehicle which you can control. I understand that you look at that and you're thinking, ooh, crypto is better, or ooh, I can probably, even in stocks, you're not doing that in stocks, unless you pick unless you picked Nvidia a few years ago. Anyway, my point here is it's a vehicle that you can control. You're going to make this 7K, by the way, is clean profit. So you've already made this 5K back. So 5K's already come back into your bank and 7K on top of it in 2 years. Like, this is why I like rent to rent. And again, hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to do. If you're at this budget, start with deal sourcing. If you're at this budget, rent to rent is good, but obviously be cautious. If you're at this budget, you're good for rent to rent. I would recommend the next step would be, if you're at like, again, it depends on what you want to do. a lot of people get to a crossroad here because rent to rent is so good. What they'll do is either they'll go all in on rent to rent and they'll just take loads of rent to rent deals on, or they start flipping properties and then buying properties. It depends on what you want to do. Us personally, we scaled in rent to rent and now we're going to start buying. We just wanted that, like, we wanted to know we wanted to know we were good at the game, and now we know, which is great. But yeah, what some people do is at 40, 50, 70, that sort of region, they start flipping properties. Because the thing about 2025, or I'd say the last few years or so, is that unless you're already playing with a lot of capital, buy to let is not great. What you want to do is renovate properties which are derelict effectively, or like not derelict, but like they're in a bad state. And you want to basically uplift that value, because then what you're doing is you're forcing capital appreciation. You're not having to wait. The reason I say that is because I'm relatively young. I'm 22. What won't change my life right now is a buy-to-let where I put down 30, 40k. I make like £100 a month from it. That won't change my life right now. Of course, in 10 years, that's great. The capital appreciation will be nice. But the thing about property is that it's not necessarily tangible. Like, that's the issue. So I think if you're holding it for like inheritance, stuff like that, it's great. But I think if you want to optimize cash flow, do a flip, put it on Airbnb. That's the best way to do it. So hopefully that video is clear. Again, you've either probably been sent here because you've been asking me how much it costs to start, or simply because you're interested. This is how much it costs to start. It's that simple. Okay? And you're probably thinking, oh, what about this? What about that? What about insurance? What about furniture? I know the numbers. I've literally advised like 50 plus clients, help 50 plus clients scale their own Airbnb businesses. I know the numbers. I've done it myself. What I can confirm is these are the exact numbers. If you're at these amounts, just do what I've said, basically. And if you need any extra support, always click that link in the bio. Literally, you can see all the results that we've got for our students. If there's anything else I can help you with, let me know. Have a good rest of your day.